Every year, more and more carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere through the burning of oil and fuel. From here it gets absorbed by the oceans, where it changes the seawater chemistry and ultimately makes our oceans more acidic. Scientists predict that the atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration will more than double over the course of the next 100 years. This will have major impacts on the life of many marine organisms and will affect them on many levels. For instance, the whole life cycle of an organism may be impacted, or just a single process. Then again, it may impact on a whole species or only on single individuals of that species. Some individuals may not be impacted at all, whereas others may be challenged to survive or may disappear completely. Especially the very first steps in the life cycle of an organism, fertilization and the development of embryos, are very sensitive to any changes in the environment. Yet these steps are the most crucial to reproduce, produce offspring and move on to the next generation. And any impacts here will have major consequences for following life stages. We are here at Fairlight Beach in Sydney Harbour, Australia, to collect the purple sea urchin for my research at Macquarie University in Sydney. As part of my PhD studies, I wanted to investigate the impacts of future ocean acidification on sea urchin reproduction. January is an ideal time to collect the animals because they spawn during the Australian summer. There is an amazing amount of biodiversity in Sydney Harbour, and many species depend upon the important role that sea urchins play in marine ecosystems. Urchins act as ecosystem engineers because they are able to control the growth rates of marine algae, such as the kelps that they feed on. Therefore, changes in sea urchin grazing behavior can modify the vegetation within marine habitats. Too little grazing and the kelp forests take over, leaving little space for other algal species to live. Too much grazing will rapidly decimate kelp forests. This can ultimately change the composition of all species found in an ecosystem. In the daytime, the sea urchins are hidden among the rocks and crevices. But there are lots here, so we shouldn't have too much trouble collecting enough live specimen to start my experiments. With the two of us working together, it didn't take long to find the purple urchins that I needed for my study. To keep them alive and in perfect health, we immediately transferred them into cooling boxes, which were filled with seawater and some kelp for the urchins to feed on. We then transported the 18 male and 18 female purple urchins back to the Macquarie University seawater facility. In the lab, we induced spawning with a non-lethal injection of potassium chloride. When the urchins are returned to the water, this injection caused the females to release thousands of eggs into the water column. And the males released millions of sperm. This is known as broadcast spawning, and it made it easy for me to collect their gametes. To investigate the impacts of ocean acidification on these gametes and the fertilization process, we exposed them to conditions found in the ocean today, as well as to two scenarios that simulate the more acidic oceans predicted under future climate change. Finally, I analyzed the motility of the sperm and whether or not fertilization was successful under these future conditions. So what did we find in our experiments? On my right I have our present ocean and on my left our future acidic ocean. First, we were looking at sperm swimming behavior. We found that under future acidic conditions, the amount of actively swimming sperm was substantially reduced in all males. This might have impacts on the fertilization process for these guys. We then paired sperm from these males with eggs from females and performed fertilization experiments. Under present-day conditions, these were highly successful. However, under future acidic conditions, we found that the majority of urchin pairs showed a decreased fertilization success. which might impact on the amount of offspring these guys can produce. Due to the rapid speed of future ocean acidification, this would put intense pressure on these guys to adapt and survive.
So Peter, there are so many of this species of urchin here at Fairlight Beach and also other places within Sydney Harbour. What do your results mean for the future of these guys?
Well, Adam, as we saw, only some of these seem to be winning against the threat of ocean acidification, whereas the majority showed lesser fertilization, which means they are losing their battle against ocean acidification. This will definitely cause major shifts in the composition of these species out in the field.
All right. So there are a whole bunch of other species of urchin that also live here, and there are so many other animals that live in Sydney Harbour. What do you think the results would mean for them?
I think we can definitely apply those results, at least for all the broadcasting species, like corals or the other sea urchin species, but maybe to some other species as well. Upon the completion of my experiments, all purple urchins were released back into the ocean, so they could continue their vital role as ecosystem engineers.